February 4th, 2016, 8 p.m. Liberty Street, Manhattan. Inside the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, a fortress containing more gold than Fort Knox's server rack blinks. A request has just arrived via SWIFT, the global financial nervous system. It's a message from the Central Bank of Bangladesh. The command: transfer $20 million to a bank in the Philippines. The credentials: perfect. The digital signature: authentic. To the New York Fed, this is a routine transaction for a sovereign nation. But 8,000 miles away, in Dhaka, the air is thick with a terrifying silence. It's Friday morning. In Bangladesh, this is a day of prayer and rest. The sprawling headquarters of the central bank is empty, save for a few guards. Inside the high-security SWIFT rumor room that is supposed to be a digital vault, the printer begins to hiss. It's spitting out confirmation slips for transfers that no human in the building authorized. By the time the bank's manager, Zubair bin Yuda, walks into that room the next morning, $101 million is evaporated. But here's the catch. The hackers weren't trying to steal $100 million. They were trying to steal $1 billion. They were 4 keystrokes away from bankrupting an entire nation and triggering a global financial collapse. And the only reason they failed was a single-letter spelling mistake. How did a ghost state penetrate the most secure financial server on Earth? And why did a $10 piece of hardware lead to the largest heist in history? Chapter 1. The Math Monks of Bureau 121. To understand how you steal $1 billion, you don't look at a bank, you look at a school. In the heart of Pyongyang, North Korea, there is a building known as University 121. Every year, state officials scour the countryside for children who show machinery-like computation skills. These aren't just students, they are state assets. In North Korea, brilliance isn't celebrated, it's weaponized. Here is the secret knowledge. The world is only now learning. The regime has created a digital ghost army known as the Lazarus Group. Their mission isn't to defend a border, it's to fund a nuclear program. Because of international sanctions, North Korea is a country without an economy. So, they decided to build a theft-based economy. These hackers Bureau 121 in luxury in Pyongyang, but they work in the shadows of Shenyang, China, and Vladivostok. They are math monks who spend 20 hours a day studying the digital breath of Western banks. In 2014, they crippled Sony Pictures because of a movie. But in 2015, the Supreme Leader gave them a new order. Find the money. They looked for a weak point. They didn't target the Fed in New York, it's too strong. They didn't target London. They looked for a soft node in the global network. They found the Bangladesh Central Bank. Chapter 2. The $10 trap. Bangladesh is a nation on the rise, but its bank was a graveyard of old technology. In the world of high finance, your SWIFT terminal is your holy of holies. It's a specialized computer that sends values across the world. Usually, this machine is air-gapped. It's not connected to the public internet. It sits in its own private universe. But in 2015, the Bangladesh bank made a fatal mathematics of negligence calculation. To save money on infrastructure, they bought a second-hand $10 network router to connect their SWIFT terminal to the web. This $10 piece of plastic became the bridge that the Lazarus Group had been waiting for. January 2015, a mid-level employee named Rasalam receives an email. It's a job inquiry. He clicks the attachment, cv.zip. Inside that file was a Trojan horse called Envoy. For one entire year, 365 days, the hackers sat in the bank servers. They didn't move. They didn't steal. They practiced digital camouflage. They watched the operator's screens. They learned that the operators used a specific printer confirmation system. They realized that every time a transfer happened, a physical confirmation was printed. If they started stealing at night, the printer would start clicking, and the morning shift would see the slips. So, the hackers wrote a custom piece of code, the wiper malware. Its only job: to blind the printer, to tell the machine, no matter what happens, do not print the confirm. The trap was set. Now, they just needed the right variable of time. Chapter 3. The triple blind spot. The Lazarus Group understood something that most criminals don't. Time zones are a weapon. They mapped out the rhythm of silence across 3 different countries. Friday in Dhaka. The bank is closed for prayer. Saturday, Sunday in New York. The Federal Reserve is closed for the weekend. Monday in Manila. It's a public holiday, Lunar New Year. They had identified a 72-hour window where no one would be picking up the phone. February 4th, 2016. 8:36 p.m. The Lazarus hackers initiate 35 separate transfer requests to the New York Fed. The total, $951 million. The New York Fed's computers receive the messages. They check the credentials. The digital handshake is perfect. The Fed begins to wire the money to the Philippines. Imagine the scene in the Lazarus bunker. Men in military uniforms, hunched over monitors, watching millions of dollars scroll across the screen in green text. $20 million, $50 million, $100 million. The Fed is auto-approving everything. The heist is working. They are minutes away from the billion-dollar mark. But then, the human variable strikes. Chapter 4, the Shandika mistake. The 36th transfer request was for $20 million, destined for a non-profit in Sri Lanka, called the Shalika Foundation, but the hackers were working in their second language. Their adrenaline was redlining. As they typed the destination, their fingers slipped. Te spedit esatindi ekaya. At Deutsche Bank in New York, which acted as a routing Stashana clerk, Frank sees the name. Shandika. He doesn't recognize it. He does a quick search. It doesn't exist. He flags the transfer for a manual review. The destination address in the Philippines for all these millions was a bank on Jupiter Street. To a computer, Jupiter Street is just data. But to a human clerk at the Fed, Jupiter is a red flag. Why? Because the US Treasury had just put the Jupiter, a sanctioned Iranian shipping vessel, on a high-priority watch list. The word Jupiter triggered a sanctions alert. The Lazarus hackers realize the screen has gone red. They have been spotted. They disconnect their servers and vanish, but they still have $101 million. And now, they have to wash it before the world wakes up. This is where the story shifts from a digital thriller to a gritty crime drama. Maya wasn't a hacker. She was an opportunist. Months ago, 4 sleeping accounts had been opened at her branch with just $500 each. These were ghost accounts created under fake names. Instead, she ordered the vault to be opened. In the Philippines, casinos are at the time exempt from anti-money laundering laws. If you get money into a casino, the law stops at the door. They drove it to the Soler Casino and the Midas Casino. The hackers bought $81 million in non-negotiable chips. These are chips that cannot be cashed out. They must be played. But the hackers weren't there to gamble. They were there to clean. They hired proxy players to sit at baccarat tables for 48 hours straight. They would lose a small percentage to the house, but the chips they won back were now clean. By the time the Bangladesh bank officials realized that money was missing on Saturday, the money was already washed. It was being packed into suitcases in Manila and flown to Macau. Chapter 6. The FBI versus. The ghosts. By Monday morning, the world had woken up. The governor of the Bangladesh bank, Atiur Rahman, was in a state of total collapse. He tried to hide the theft for weeks, hoping to get the money back quietly. He failed. The FBI's cyber division moved in. They analyzed the wiper code found in Dhaka. They found a digital fingerprint, the way the hackers had nested. Their encryption was identical to the 2014 hack of Sony Pictures and the 2013 Dark Soul attacks against South Korean banks. The FBI realized they weren't chasing a criminal. They were chasing a country. They eventually identified a man named Park Jin-hyuk. He was a clean-cut programmer who lived in China for years, working for a North Korean front company called Chosen Expo. To his neighbors, he was a quiet IT guy. To the FBI, he was a cyber terrorist who had just stolen more money than any pirate in history. The aftermath. Maya Degito was arrested and sentenced to prison. The RCBC bank was fined $20 million. The governor of the Bangladesh bank resigned in disgrace. But Park Jin-hyuk is back in Punjab. He likely received a medal. Chapter 7. The Lazarus Legacy. Only $15 million of the $101 million was ever recovered found in a junket operator's office. The rest, nearly $86 million, is gone. Intelligence agencies believe that money was used to fund North Korea's Hwasong-15 ICBM program. The missiles that now threaten the Western world were paid for by a $10 router in Dhaka and a spelling mistake in New York. It raises the final, terrifying question. We live in a world where the mathematics of power has shifted. You don't need a nuke to destroy a country. You just need to hack its bank. The Lazarus Group didn't stop. In 2017, they released the WannaCry virus, crippling hospitals in the UK. In 2022, they stole $600 million from a crypto. They are the most successful thieves in human history because they do you and have a home address. The FBI can raid. They are ghosts in the machine. The Bangladesh bank heist proved that the global economy is a glass house. And the people throwing stones, they've finally learned how to spell.